And officially, happy Friday, post Independence Day. Hope it was great for all of you listening at home. Welcome to the Market Watch Group weekly market wrap. My name is Scott. I will be your host. What are we doing here? These are our last considerations before we get to the weekend, right? We sat through a half day, then a close day, then we got today. What are the thoughts? I'll run through mine right off the bat. I think that financials need to be closed. They're really starting to show weakness. I think that I think that technology still has some momentum, with the exception of chips. If you're in a chip stock, you're probably like, ooh, what do I want to do with this? So technology, I'm thinking maybe pare it down, but carry some through to next week. I'm looking at new trades where I'm putting one on Colgate. I'm looking at consumer defensive. So Walmart strong, Coca-Cola possibly soon, Colgate Palmolive. You guys lost me. Can you hear me right now? I think you should be hearing me. Got choppy for a second. I'm good. Okay. Yes. David, glad to see your chat on this side now. Nice to meet you, by the way. I believe you worked with Glenn. I think he mentioned that you were coming on, which is amazing. I've been telling everybody I'm excited to start bringing guys through the coaching because it's a great atmosphere, and I think you'll benefit from it and be able to contribute to it. So amazing. I'm still working with Glenn. Fantastic. Glenn's a great guy, great trader. You're lucky to have him as a coach. Press is there. Yes. Okay. So I think Steven's having some issues. He maybe needs to pop out, pop back in. Let's dive in. Disclaimers. You know them, you love them. Be careful. We're not brokers. We're not advisors. Yada, yada. No guidance. No recommendations. Today's agenda. Let's talk about today's market. We had some information. There had been some concerns about the labor market. I've actually felt quite good about it from what I look at. I learned a new measurement today that I want to talk about, which I think is an important one to keep an eye on now. I'm going to have to spend a little more time looking back because I'm not sure if it's like a rolling measure. Anyways, we'll talk about that. We'll revisit our market posture. Do we expect it to stay the same, get better, get worse? It's very stable right now. We've been sitting in the same place for 5 straight weeks, 5.5, 5.75. A good, solid, bullish score. It's not an outstanding score. It's a good, solid, bullish market. Trading's been pretty good. I think we would all agree. So it makes sense. What are our mindset for trades? I kind of gave you my preview already. If you're carrying a good amount, is a hedge worth a consideration? The VIX is at 12 or close to it. I mean, I was looking at a out the money 5 weeks out put $1.20. So if you wanted to throw on some cheap puts just to kind of give yourself a little bit of a carry through the weekend, it's not a triggered hedge. We didn't get a higher low automated trigger. What we have is a potential setup where it's like, if you're feeling a little iffy and you're carrying some bullish trades, does it make sense to put on a 4 to 5 day hedge? Why not? It's cheap. Why not? Okay. What are we looking for next week? Well, I'm hoping that this technology momentum carries. Next week, we don't have much. We'll look at the economic calendar. We don't have much until Thursday. And then we get the next set of inflationary data, right? We'll look at our opportunity list and we'll talk about the trading plan. David, I think that the plan that you worked on with Glenn should be either the same or at least very, very close to the one that we look at in here. So you'll have the ability to look at that. Stephen, is sound working for you now? Hopefully, let me know. Let's dive in. I knew we'd be live today. Let's just start with the market posture. And David, I know this is unfamiliar to you. I don't know if Glenn has had a chance to walk you through this, but if you come into these two channels here, trading resources and group downloads, resources and downloads. In the trading resources, you have the content library. In here, you'll find videos that talk about each of these components. It talks about our trading plan. It talks about, there's just a lot of different things. So if you wanted to just browse it and be like, oh, let's take a listen to this, it's there. And if you go into the downloads, here you have the trading plan outline, the market posture log, the trading log, the option log, top 10 mistakes. So these are just some resources we have. Some of it's going to be overlap with what you already have. Some of it may be new. Just wanted to flag that for you. Make sure that you knew that it was there. I see a couple of people in Market Watch meetups, but both of them have their mics muted. So I wonder if they just got stuck in there from earlier. Okay. All right. Market posture. So long-term trend is sitting at a 1.5. It's been sitting there for a while. What does that mean? It means that I think we have a pretty perfect read. I feel like my read on the long-term trend is spot on. What? Where's all my lines? Oh, there they are. It's like, what happened to my lines? Here's the 3-year weekly. So that 1.5 trend is representative of this. We've been in this trend. So I'm a 1.5 this whole time. And I will be as long as it stays inside of this range. If it breaks to the upside over here or makes a higher low at some point, then maybe I will raise it to a 1.75. I don't think I'd ever go to a 2. I don't know if I've seen a 2 yet, so I'm not. I'm reluctant to go to the highest point. But overall, this is spot on. I don't see any reason we would change this. That even is potentially developing right now. So that's going to stay the same as far as I am concerned. Hi, Sandy. Good evening. Is it morning? Maybe it's morning. Early morning. I don't know. Let's go to the 6-month daily. Same thing. Okay. What's my score? My score here. Oh, sorry. I was a 1.5. Here's a 1.75. And I've been the same score here for 5 weeks. Do I expect it to change or stay the same? Exactly the same. Let me extend my drawing to the right. Boom. Look at that. Perfect. We're right smack in the middle, right in this angle. I think we have this scored perfectly. It actually has a little bit of maybe even a slightly higher point. Like if it were to get through above this trend line up here, I would probably raise my score to a 2. But it's a good, strong score, right? Out of 5 total points, I'm at a 3.25. It really doesn't get much higher than that, than a 4. So, anyways. Steven, sorry you're having issues. I hope you find some stability in that signal. Volume. So far, nothing's changing. It looks fine. It looks like it's going to stay the same. Now, David, being new, I like to do a quick, we're going to score this. If you can make it on Sunday, we score that every week. Every week we just do a real deep dive into the market, talk about the conditions to make sure we like what we see. It informs a lot of what we do by way of strategy, risk management, things like how tight you set your stop, how aggressive you set your target, things like that. I like to review it now because if I see my score is going to be stable or even stronger, that's going to tell me that I want to hang on to trades, not right. Or if I see that my score is going to drop, I might say, you know what? Let's scale out of some trades. Let's pare down, take some profits, tighten some stops. I feel like us looking ahead helps to make this this weekend decision that sometimes it's easy to go back and forth on, right? Had a great trade with Tesla. Love it, Sandy. Love it. And I'm very glad that we'll see you, David. All right. Have we been through our... Oh, no. What's next? Major market and sector rotation. I don't... Steven does a good dive into those. I kind of just play it based on feel. And I find it interesting to hear what he says versus what I kind of feel, and then we go forward. I would love people to join one camp or the other intentionally. I like to just get a feel for it based on, like, for example, for the major market in the Dow versus Russell race for third. I don't have a good sense. I feel like that one's still going to be iffy. I don't think we're going to get any new information. However, I do think we're going to see increased sector rotation strength because of the surge that the financials had, a little bit of a resurgence. But is it enough to kick my score up? I already moved to a 0.5, and my answer is I don't think so. That's my answer. I don't think it's enough yet. Either it would have to be significantly stronger. So I'm talking about this sector rotation score here. It would have to be significantly stronger, or we'd have to add both financials and industrials, and I don't think we did. So for me, I think that's going to stay the same, and I think that's going to stay the same. They're both going to be more bullish than not, but just kind of a nice, steady bullish, not a strong bullish. Any thoughts from anyone else? Steven's still obviously having issues, so yeah. And let's finish with the VIX, which is always important to us. Is there anything that we are scoring? No. This was a low, same low. Right? Same low. This was a lower high back here, and it moved down, and you might think, well, this popped up. Well, it opened higher, but then by the time we got to the end of the day, it was actually lower. And so this is all one move down. Now, it does look like it could be starting to hook up. Remember, though, this is not if this was a higher low, I would absolutely say a hedge is warranted. It's automated, but it's the same low. But at the same time, I am a little worried about this escalation and this potentially doing one of these, where it's a little bit bigger. If I get that, that's going to be disruptive. I'm going to have to be playing defense with my bullish trades. Wouldn't it be nice? If I had a little hedge that I got on nice and cheap? Yeah, okay. Sandy, I'm so sorry to hear you haven't been feeling well. I know it's turning into winter, like a flu bug or something. I hope you start feeling better soon. Anyways, the VIX, I'm going to score it the same. I'm not going to score this better or worse. I'm still going to score it at a 1.25. Overall, I would say we still have this. It's low empirically, and it's more downward pressing than not. But there's enough potential that I'm like, hey, if you're worried, if you have some bullish trades, a hedge is worth thinking about. It's not a trigger. It's a consideration. But as far as scoring this goes, I'm gonna say I'm gonna leave mine alone. So for me, I think I'm gonna stay the same, 5.75. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The sixth week in a row that we will be in this 5.5 to 5.75 range. Great. Nice and bullish. I would say we have some setups coming in financials, but I want to remind you that we have earnings coming up Financials is the kind of kickoff window, and they're starting over in the next week or so. So I want you to be careful there. Maybe chips. I don't know. Let's go look at the watch list. It came today. Did you see that, Press? I put one out on CL. Did you see that? I hope. If you go into the Market Watch announcements, it should have binged everybody. And yes, and the alert came out and the email came out, and I see it as valid. Let's start there. We've been looking at it. Yes, look at it. That looks beautiful, right? And I still think we have just under a 3-1. I'm not putting my stop under here. I actually switched this to a Heikin Ashi. Let me walk you through where the alert came from. The target came from this 101.50 right up here. Where did I get this target from? Bam. I took the exact move from low to high. And I'm not starting from here. I'm starting from here. Right? So that's where that's coming from. So I have a target up here. My time frame is here. I've got a first target around this 99 mark. And I've got a stop loss down here. I actually put this on when the alert came out. It was around 96. Let me see if I still have it up. 96.90. Now it's 97.11. 96.90 to 97.25. That's the range. And my stop was at 96.30. I ended up buying just a cheap out of the money call. I bought the August's 100 call, so out of the money. I got it at 88 cents. There you go. That's the alert. We've been watching this one. We've been waiting for it. You definitely could have gone anticipatory. Could have maybe taken this thing earlier this morning, but we have nice amount of confirmation. Give me your thoughts. Let me know if you have any questions about that, but I think that looks great. You'll notice that other potential bullish looking signals are things like what? Coca-Cola. That's also defensive. Walmart. Oh, Walmart. That's it. It's gone. We missed it. Really, it was yesterday. Yeah, that's gone. I'm not going to chase that. So if people are like, am I too late? That's a very personal thing. If I asked you, are you too late? If you ask me, my answer is yes. It's too late. That's too much. It's too far. I can't miss that much of the move. But let's be honest, it gave us a signal and we've been talking about it. So not yesterday, but Wednesday, because yesterday was the 4th of July. Still in Costco though. So did anybody maintain? This was, we got a little bit of a hiccup test on both Apple and Costco. A little bit of a hiccup test. So two things about the hiccups. Number one, be ready to trade them if you miss the first one and then it hiccups, be ready to take the second one. If you take the first one and it hiccups, don't let yourself get stopped out. Why did I stay in for these 3 days? Because my market posture was a 5.75. If I had a market posture that was a 2, gone, done, I'm out. No way I'm going to stay in that trade when I'm a 2. Right? That's what the posture does, is it builds us a broader scope that we can look through and say, hey, relax, man. Don't let yourself get shook out of trades on a hiccup, only to watch it turn around and then be like, oh, I got stopped out. Why did we get stopped out? It didn't break support. Support wasn't broken. Clearly, by the number of times I drew a pink line underneath it. So, hopefully if you missed Walmart, I did. You stayed in Costco. I did. It's gone quiet out there. What are you guys trading? I'll look at those too. Let's get to the watch list. Tell me what you're trading. Do you still have some Apple? I hope so. I hope so. Right? Because once you stayed in through this engulfing pattern, we talked about it on that day. We said, look, if it opens down here, then I've got some hard decisions to make. But if it haramis, which means it opens back inside, it did. And then it didn't finish as a harami, it finished as a piercing line. Beautiful. Once it did that, you survived the test. Don't bail now, for the love of goodness and graciousness. Yeah, I want to carry through. I still think there's more here. Am I going to pare it down? Yes, a little. A little. A quarter. A fifth. Sell 1 of 4, 1 of 5, right? Or if it's stock. But so yeah, lock some in at the high here. Anyway, I hear some talking going now. In Apple, SPY, and Amazon. No trade, small profits, giant one with Tesla. CRM, love it. Salesforce, in Apple, SPY, and Amazon. Love it. Love it. Yeah. Okay. Now you're talking my language. I'm picking up what you're putting down. AMD. Okay, so what the... I feel like I'm gonna curse. Because all of a sudden, AMD wants to break out while NVIDIA pauses. TSM continues moving, and Micron engulfs a little bit. Okay, it engulfed. I'm going to give it a hiccup. The rest of the group is still moving. Who's with me? The rest of the group is still moving. We got a good entry, so I'm still okay. It erased yesterday, but I'm still at basically break even. So I'm not going to, but I don't want to miss trading the others and then bail on this one only to watch the whole group move. So I'm going to carry. Amazon still looks good, but if you're starting to think about paring it down, it makes sense because this is the fifth. It's 3 in a row now here. 6 days ago, we were at the same place. So does it seem like it's maybe hitting some resistance? Yeah, I would say so. AVGO. So I hit a target on this trade and sold some automatically, and then it dropped from there. I can definitely, if nothing else, move my stop up underneath, and let's see if it can recover and go just like the other one. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to move my stop to 1660. 1660. The original entry on AVGO was 1660. Yeah, at 1660 the stop makes money. So I'm going to give it a ride. I'm going to adjust the stop, see if it can keep going. No, and the trade's already made some money. And if the rest of it stops out, then it makes more money. But I'm going to try to do what? Let my winner run. Why am I trying to let my winner run? Because I feel like there's still good momentum. There's still upside potential, and I'm in a bullish market. Would I try to let my winner run as much if I had a lower scored market? 2, 3? No. 0? Of course not. Of course not. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. Financials look like they are now ready for a pullback. That's the third day. We're in the same spot. Everything's rolling over. Boeing, I'm not sure about that. But Bank of America pulling back. Citi pulling back. Caterpillar kind of flat. Colgate Palmolive looking like a trade. Chipotle. I told you I'm still thinking about it. And that looks like a trade as well. Except, no, I'm not thinking about it. I actually designated this in consolidation mode. So it has to do this. I forgot. Otherwise, I might have if I hadn't done that. If you didn't, if you're like, I don't think it's in consolidation, Scott, well, then that's a potential trade. Stop loss here, target here, primary target, right? You've got something to set up. There's no right or wrong. There's just, hey, here's what we can do with this. Here's what we can do with this. COP, I love seeing oil drop like that. Costco, magnificent. On its way. I can't remember what my targets were on. Let me see if I can find it. Costco potential profit at 880. Yeah, so, take some now. Yes. Perfect time to pare down if you're in it. Primary target, I still think there's another 20. It's up here for me. So I'm going to see if we can get a little farther. Take some, keep more. Make sense? Take some, keep more. That's my thought. And if it all of a sudden starts to fail, well, I locked in a great price. I can move my stop up. And actually, I would move my stop. The original stop here was around 840. And now I have the ability to get that stop up here to about, I would say, 855. My original entry was 858. So I'm very close to break even with moving my stop up. And then next week, it'll jump pretty quickly. I like the way that this trade is now moving. Let me know if you have any thoughts or questions. Dow. Like I said, I'm iffy between the Dow and the Russell. Let's take a look at these two back to back. Ooh, see? I think that we may actually lose a little ground. I think that we may give up a quarter of a point on on major market. So I may actually drop from a 5.75 to a 5.5. What is the significance of that? Absolutely nothing. It's stability still for me, right? But I'm saying it might drop. EQH. EQH is really starting to be a laggard. I'm dropping it. I like Bank of America. I like American Express. I like Citi. I like Morgan Stanley. I don't need that. I don't need that anymore. I want it gone. Here's FCX, a little bit of a pop in the materials, gold and copper. And a drop in Bitcoin. I told you when it dropped under that 50. Watch out. Watch out. I did not take GE. It's hard to know if the jinx is on or not. At this point, what do I need to see to want to trade GE again? Boom, boom, boom. It's got to break out, make a new high, pull back, high or low, and then I'll be like, okay, the buyers have done enough to convince me that we have potentially some sustainable momentum. All right, fair enough. Gold. Yeah, gold is making that breakout. Google. I love Google. We said it's there on the flag or not at all. So if you took it, great. If not, it's not. Small caps are struggling a little bit, as are home builders. Interest rates need to come down to help them out, all of them out. Viable and very close for Coca-Cola. Meta, too late. God, look at it go. 6%. 6%. It was here on the turn or not at all. And it gave it to you. You should have taken one or the other on Wednesday. No alert came. It was a half day, but we talked about it on, we talked about it on Wednesday, I believe, right? We talked about both Google and Meta. Nothing formal, but it was there. MFC, no. MMM, possibly, but not as strong as the other defensives. Morgan Stanley pulling back. Morgan Stanley pulling back. Microsoft looks strong as hell. Very, very strong. Very strong indeed. So do I expect this market to start to ease up? No. I expect that technology looks great. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Meta. They all look fantastic. And we're starting to see financials. And maybe we'll get industrials, and that'll put us into I would love to see us move to like a nice steady 6.25. That's what I want to trade for the second half of the year. Whoa, it would be fantastic. We would all have an amazing second half of the year. Micron, come on, Micron, you're better than this. Netflix looks good. Nvidia on a little bit of a pause. Palantir, I love. Still got some. Still looking good. Technology is fantastic. QQQ looks good. SPY looking strong. Moving on up to higher highs. No complaints. TSM. Yeah, so what I like I said, I still think that there's some momentum, but I think we may start to see the technology get overbought. It may then have a bit of a consolidation. If technology is consolidating, what do I expect? I expect defensive stocks to be doing well. So Walmart, Costco, Coca-Cola, and Colgate-Palmolive, and maybe a financial or two starts to move, right? So don't think that there's nothing to trade. The dollar, yes, much better. Much better. Still above the 50 though. I still have fears that this could be a trend and we bounce. And if that happens, that's going to be stressful to the market. Super stressful to the market right there. Okay. However, it did drop back below 29. What I would really like is for it to get below 28.80 and below the 50. That happens. If we see that, I think that only contributes to a further opportunity for bullishness into the fall. Love it. That's what we're hoping for right there. The VIX looks great. There's no concern, but there's a cheap hedge if you do have concern. Walmart looks too strong. Looks great, but it's already moved. What else? I'll tell you what else. One more thing that I think would be viable, and that is we're still in the world of calendar spreads. Okay, calendar spreads. If you've done a few of them and you've liked them, they're on. I don't have time to try to build one here in the last 7 minutes, but I think I might even start one on Monday of next week. They're good at any time. They're not a timing-based strategy. They are a time-based strategy. They are not a timing-based strategy. I don't have to get it right on the money. Get it at support as it's bouncing. Right? So, what does that mean? Yeah, take it for what you will. Okay, let's talk about trading plans. What are we working on this week? If you're in the cycle, you are on section 3. Trading systems, which is your rules. One set of rules per system. Right? Where we're talking about what stocks, how do I find stocks for the watch list, or what am I thinking about trading? What time frames do I use? Every time frame needs a specific set of roles and obligations and objectives. I need to know what my risk is going to be for that system. I need to know what an entry looks like, what a stop looks like. I need to know targets. I need to know time frames. I need to know how I'm going to manage the trade. I need to know what tactics I'm going to employ. Everything about that system needs to be defined. If it comes from an advisory service, fill in what they give you. And then you need to identify what you have to come up with on your end for obligate, right? So that's it. When we're done here, we're going to move on next week to risk management. Some of you may not be on cycle. Some of you may be on the prioritization, where you have identified 2, maybe 3 sections of your plan, and then you might be focusing 2-3 weeks at a time on one section and really starting to refine. Great. I would love to see, as our community is now scaling and growing, I'd like to see some good discussions in the forums. There's a lot of great perspective out there. Collaboration helps. It makes this feel like a less lonely endeavor, which it can definitely feel like at times. Okay. Did not have enough money to do all the trades. Isn't that right? I'm telling you, that becomes a problem more than you think. You're like, I want to trade it all. And we know we have to limit ourselves. And we start looking at like, hey, I have 3 trades out of the same sector. How do I pick? Best reward to risk is as good as you got. You got to do something, right? I mean, I have a magic 8-ball at my desk. I'll ask which trade it should be. It'll help guide me a little bit. But I do believe that's a good problem to have. Looks like Sandy dropped. I hope she's feeling better. Anyways. Questions, comments, concerns before we wrap this up. I will see you guys on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to dive in, look at the granular level of the market, try to understand conditions as we see them. What are our risks? What are we trying to accomplish from week to week? I feel like we've been real spot on with our read. And that's nice. It helps. I don't know about you guys. It helps me to trade more confidently when I'm like, hey, this is what the market's been doing. This is how I've been seeing it. And they're right on top of each other. It's like, all right, I should feel confident to make my decisions and stick with them. Okay, Stephen. Hope you'll share that with me, or maybe share it with me on Sunday. David, where do you find the recordings? Okay, that's a great question. Now that you're in here, one of the things I would recommend that you do is if you go into any of these resources here where just go to our YouTube channel. But I'll check for your email. Your email should be added, so you'll start getting emails. But what I also am going to be doing is I'm going to put up a recordings section. We're trying to make it so you can find it any number of ways. But I always tell people, just go into our YouTube channel. And if you go into the YouTube channel here, this is where I go in to post things, and then I bring the links to you. However, if you come in here, you'll see here, right? Like this is just in order. So you can always come find things that way, but I'll try to keep making sure that I bring it to you in a few different settings. But I'll send an email and the link will be there. I'll post links here in Discord, and if you subscribe to YouTube, it'll flag you and be like, hey, Market Watch Group just posted. And you'll be like, oh, they just posted the new video, and you can go watch it there. Any of those different ways. And all of the videos are archived. But if you come into the content library, it's organized. So if you come in here, you can see like, oh, here's the trading plan. These videos correspond to these sections of the trading plan. These videos correspond to these market posture components. So you have we've got a lot in there. Hopefully we have it somewhat organized, and we will continue to try to organize it better. So awesome. It's good to see everybody. We'll wrap it up right on time. That's the closing bell. I will see you guys Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. When we'll talk about this thing, we'll update our watch list. I think we need to review both financials and industrials to prepare for them to move into favor. I like what we have for technology and communication services, but I think we need to make sure we're ready for money flowing into financials and money flowing into industrials. Yeah. Good to see you guys. Have a great rest of your day. As always, happy trading.